Hello and welcome back to my chilly craft room. It's a really chilly day today. So it's a very good day to be starting the project I'm going to have a look at today. If you're a regular viewer, you may know that I have been looking at UK based craft subscription boxes. I approached some of the ones that particularly were singing my tune, if you know what I mean. Some of them very kindly said they would send me a box to review and have a go with, have a go at the activity, have a look at what's inside and have a go at the activity. Now, one of them was this one, the stitch kit. I will link to the original unboxing video where I go all through everything that was in the box and have a look at their website and everything. The gist of it is that this is a monthly subscription. They do 3 price points. They do 2 monthly subscription boxes. It's £19.95 or £35. There's also a quarterly one which I think is £60. And this one's a bit different in that you fill in a questionnaire with your likes and dislikes. You get to choose any mixture of 6 different disciplines. So there's knitting and crochet, cross stitch and embroidery, 6 different disciplines. I do all the details in that unboxing video, which I'll link to. And you tell them all your particular likes and dislikes, what colours you like, what kind of thing you like to do and don't like to do, and they custom create this box for you, which is really unusual. So I've been talking to a lovely lady called Rachel by email over at Stitch Kit, and she's put this together for me, and I was just blown away at how it was as if a friend of mine had put the box together for me, because it couldn't have been more me, really. I said it's crochet, it's lovely and colourful, it's a crocheted shawl, so I said I'd come back, and obviously I can't film the whole project, it's going to be quite a long project, but I said I'd come and sort of show, just to talk for a bit how you would look at the pattern and the basic stitches and things, in case anybody's starting crochet and is a bit daunted by following a pattern things, because it can be a bit daunting when you first start following patterns and stuff, but really crochet's ever so easy. I find it much easier than knitting. So I'm going to take you to the desk now. The box really is too big to have under, so I'm going to quickly take everything out of the box. They also do kind of one-off gift boxes and things as well, so it's quite a nice idea as a gift for a friend, or as to put on your own wish list, either a regular subscription or just one of the one-off boxes or you can do like a gift voucher thing where they can then choose their own, fill in their own questionnaire and choose their own box, basically. I think that's just a lovely idea. So and it does come all beautifully packaged like this. So I'm going to put that out of the way now. Love the wool that came. I did have so this was the £19.95 a month box that they sent me, and I was very impressed with what you get for that price, and I believe that includes the postage as well, off the top of my head. I had a quick tot up afterwards after I finished filming last time, and you definitely got more than your money's worth here. So there's these 2 lovely balls of wool. So this is 75% superwash wool and 25% polyamide. So that's gonna be, and it's a lovely smooth twist to it, which is really nice to use. It's a lovely little gift of this little emery board with the crafty motifs on it. I think it's really sweet. I don't tend to use them a lot for my nails, but they are a really handy thing. I've always got a couple on my desk in my craft room. I can eat the sweeties now. Beautiful cute little tin with these llamas, alpacas, whatever they are on. Oh God, I'm being a klutz about opening it. With stitch markers in it. So I think one of the things I'd said to one of the questions in the questionnaire was, what colours do you like? And I just put bright colours. So everything's been picked. So even these came in the box as well. This cute little pair of scissors and this spotty scissors. Nice ergonomic crochet hook, which especially if you're if you're crocheting for a long time, these can make it a lot more comfortable. This is a millwood one. So I love how even the accessories are bright and colourful. I think it's just so beautifully put together. As I say, seriously, a friend could have put this together for me. Yeah. And then this, which I was too stupid to realise straight away until one of my viewers put it in the comments. It's actually one of those supermarket trolley tokens, isn't it? It should have been really obvious with the cute little Stitch Kit logo on, which I think is really, really nice little extra. Yeah, and my sweeties. And here's the pattern. So this is what we're going to make, and the great thing is that in these colours it's going to go perfectly for me with a dress I've got for the sort of, it's my dress to go out at Christmas in. or all through the festive season. But it would also look really nice with like a plain white shirt and a pair of jeans, wouldn't it? You know, I love that. I'm just going to look so pretty in those colours. So here's the pattern. If you're an expert crocheter already, this is going to be sucking eggs to you, but for the benefit of anyone who hasn't followed a crochet pattern before, is just beginning, I'm going to sort of aim this at beginners. So I won't be offended if you want to skip through if you're a seasoned crocheter and you know all this already. I'll take this little label off now. I left the labels on to do the second video, but now I'm going to take them off because they're going to annoy me. One important thing for me here. Excellent. It's not one of those annoying labels that leaves a horrible sticky residue, which is particularly annoying when it's on pencils. It annoys me on pencils and paintbrush, pencils especially, because it doesn't want to go in the sharpener, and things like this where you want it to be nice and smooth. Yes, so that's a nice easy peel label. Good. It's the next morning. I did show this on camera and then decided, because some of the colours that weren't shown too well on the camera, the yarn is quite fine, and because of it being variegated like this, it wasn't the best way to kind of demonstrate how following the stitches. So I carried on with this by myself yesterday evening. I think I'm going to start it again because I'm not sure what's happened here. I've got something weird going on. I can't see that it's meant to look like that. So I'm going to be starting that again. But it's great because it's given me the opportunity to get my head around the pattern. I would say, now I've done it for a bit, this is definitely not for a beginner. But having said that, I am loving it because it's nice to have something to really get my teeth into. It's not a dip your toe in the water project. It's a real, a real meaty, yeah. And if you love doing crochet and following intricate patterns, this is, I'm loving it. So what I thought I'd do is, although as I was saying the pattern isn't really for beginners, I will still kind of demonstrate this in a way kind of aimed at beginners, just to give you an idea of how you would follow a pattern like this. I won't do obviously all of it, I'll just do the first few rows just to give an idea and just to show the basic stitches and abbreviations and things. So what I've done is I've scanned the pattern so I can show it on screen when I need to, because that'll be a lot easier, and I'm going to do it for demonstration purposes. I'm going to do it in this white slightly chunkier wool with a slightly bigger crochet hook. So this was the one I did this quickly not that quickly. I think doing this and this last night took me about 3 or 4 hours, but that's partly because I was following a new pattern. It won't really take that long now I've got my head around it. You can see, so this where I've got, I'm not quite sure what's happened here, but I've got this weird shape thing going on here. Some of it will sort itself out when you block it at the end, because that'll make it sit nicely, and it'll smooth the shape out and everything. But there's something I've done something weird here. It could just be a difference in tension. It could be that I was all relaxed here and then I start to get a bit more tense, and it makes my tension tighten up a little bit, and I've gone to, I don't know. So I'm going to be starting that again, but that's fine. It won't take me that long, and I just love doing it. I just really enjoy the whole process. So I'm going to show the first few rows and the kind of basic stitches and stuff just using this plain white wool, just to show you. Also, I just thought while I'm there, because it's somebody said a while back they'd like to see, I was talking about a blanket that I've been crocheting, and someone said, I'd like to see that. There's never really been an opportunity to show you. I'm not going to do a video just going, look, here's my blanket. So I thought this is a good opportunity. Let me show you the stack of blanket pieces I've been making. I'm left some behind. These are from a kit that a dear friend of mine bought me. Apparently the whole design was inspired by Persian tiles. This is the second colourway. It was more in a more traditional colours before, and this is the sort of brighter second colourway that they came out with. Absolutely beautiful pattern. Lovely to follow, and very much by the time you've done a couple of these pieces, you kind of know the pattern. You're sort of following along, but you kind of got it in your head. That's about half of the, I think I've nearly done the hexagon shapes, then there are some triangles and things to it, then I've got to stitch the whole thing together, but it's going to be so beautiful when it's done. And I will actually need to block those as well. Okay, so I just thought I'd give you a quick peek at that. And now I'm just going to get the pattern up on screen so you can see what it looks like. and just follow along the first few rows, just to kind of show you. It's difficult. I can't really say I'm aiming this at beginners because it's not really a beginner's pattern, but I'll just show the basics of what the abbreviations are, the basic stitches, the special stitches, and kind of how you would follow a pattern along, just in case it's helpful for anyone who's thinking about giving something like this a go, but is feeling a bit daunted, you know. So I'm going to share my screen and get this pattern up. Zoom in a bit so you can see it more easily. So as I say, this is very much, this will be suck eggs to experienced crocheters. So you'll see here, you'll always get the what you need here, including the hook. I said earlier on, the 3.5mm hook is quite a big size hook for this thickness of yarn, but I'm assuming that's because it's kind of going to be a lacy look. This is the tension thing. I think I've already said about that. I'm not going to worry about it for this. It's not like its size is crucial, so I'm not going to worry about it. Here are the abbreviations, so it tells you what you'll see, these abbreviations throughout the pattern. So this tells you what they mean, and it's not very many here. So we've got a chain space. I'll show you them in a minute if you don't know what that means. Double crochet, loops, loop or loops, remaining, repeat, SS is slip stitch. Stitch is treble, and YOH is yarn over hook. So you can always go back and look at them if you suddenly see an abbreviation you don't know what it means. And then there's the special stitches, so it's anything other than the basic double crochet, treble crochet. I think they're mainly using chain, double crochet and treble crochet here, and then there are just these two special stitches. And really the second special stitch, the puff shell, is kind of a variation, an extension of that first special stitch, which is the puff stitch. So I'll show you both of them in a mo. So you can see there that first bit, just let's bring it right up. Let's have this right up here so you can really see it easily. So I'm not going to do more than about those first 5 or 6 rows. It's going to be plenty. With a 3.5mm hook. Now, because I'm now using this slightly, you can see this is a thicker yarn, I'm going to use a slightly bigger hook as well to give the same sort of effect really. It's saying make 4 chain. To start off my chain, I'm just going to make a little loop here, pull a loop through, just to make that little kind of slip knot to start with, put my hook in. And this doesn't count as, this isn't the first stitch. So now I'm going to count 4. I'm going to put my yarn around my hook and pull it through once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. So I've made 4 chain. That's my foundation chain. It's not the first row, it's the foundation chain. So now we're going into row 1, and you can see row 1 here, and you've got RS there, that means right side. And I'm going to put 6 treble, so 6 treble crochet stitches in the 4th chain from the hook. So here's my 4 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the 4th from the hook. I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to do 6 treble crochet. So to do a treble crochet, you start off by, and I'm talking UK terms here, remember. I will put the conversion in the description box. You put the yarn around the hook, and then you go into the stitch in the previous row. It's more tricky when you're working into your foundation chain. It gets easier as you go along. You go into the stitch, yarn around the hook again, pull a loop through, then yarn around the hook again, pull a loop through, those 2 of the loops on the hook, then yarn around again the hook again one more time and pull it through the last 2 loops on the hook. I'm going to go back into this stitch again and do another, how many was it altogether? Another 5. I've got to put 6 in altogether, so another 5. And that chain, that part of the chain that I made first, has now become the equivalent of another treble stitch. You'll see that in a minute. So let's do that treble stitch again. So yarn around the hook, into that same stitch again, yarn around the hook, pull it through, yarn around the hook, pull it through 2 of the loops, yarn around the hook, pull it through the last 2 loops. And I'm going to go in again, yarn around the hook, once, twice, 3 times. I think that's why we call it a treble in this country, because you're kind of doing that 3 times. So yarn around the hook, back into that same stitch again, once, twice, 3 times. So altogether I need to do this 6 times, don't I? 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 more times, all fitting into this one little stitch here. And the first couple of rows, same with knitting actually, the first couple of rows are a bit more awkward because you've got nothing to hang on to. It gets easier as you go along. So now I've got that little kind of fan shape, and you'll see that at the end of the row here it tells you how many stitches you should have in that row. So 7 treble. That doesn't mean you make 7 treble, that's just telling you what you've got at the end. Sometimes you'll see that in patterns, they'll put that bit in brackets. So there's that first chain that I made. Those first 3 chains count as a treble, and then I've done the other 6 trebles into that 4th one from the hook. Counting that first chain as the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trebles, and they naturally create that little fan shape. There we go. Okay, and then it says to turn, so I'm just going to turn my work round, and I tend to keep my yarn off to the left and the back here. Okay, so let's have a look at row 2. So row 2, 2 chain, and it clearly tells you there that does not count as a stitch. Sometimes it does, in this case it doesn't. So I'm doing 2 chain, and then 1 puff in the first stitch. So I'm just going to do my 2 chain, yarn around the hook, pull it through, yarn around the hook again, pull it through. That's my 2 chain. It wants me to do a puff stitch in the first stitch. So a puff stitch in the first stitch of the previous row. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches. So I'm going to do my puff stitch in here. And there are special instructions for how to do the puff stitch. Let's have a look at that. Here's where they tell you how to do the special stitches. So this is a puff. And you can see it says yarn around hook, insert the hook in the stitch, yarn around the hook and pull through a loop. Draw up to a height of half treble. Okay, now a 3 chain is the height of a treble stitch. 2 chains is the height of a half treble. So that's what I'm going to take as my height. So let's do this puff stitch. So first thing is, it says YOH, that's yarn around hook, yarn around the hook, insert the hook in the stitch. So I know I'm going to go into this stitch. Insert the hook in the stitch, yarn around the hook again, pull through a loop. LP is loop, remember. Draw up to a height of a half treble. So I'm just pulling those, I'm just keeping it quite loose here so that I can pull those threads up and make them about the same height as that two chains that I've got there. That becomes, you don't really think about that as you're going along, it just becomes very instinctive very quickly. So we do that 3 times. So yarn around the hook, insert in the stitch, yarn around the hook again, pull it through, pull them up to that height, yarn around the hook. This is the 3rd time now. Pull a loop through. There we go. So I've pulled all those loops up to that height, and then it says I should have 7 loops on the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I know that's right. Then yarn around the hook and pull through all the loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook and pull it through all of the loops. And that's my little puff stitch. Done. So this is where we are. We're on row 2. 2 chain. Doesn't count as a stitch. We've done that. 1 puff in the first stitch. Just done that. Now this next bit is in brackets. So what that means is that bit that's in brackets, you just read it as one unit, if you like. So you've got 2 chain and 1 puff in the next stitch, and you do that whole little sequence to the end. So 2 chain, 1 puff in the next stitch, over and over again till you get to the end, and then you turn. Hopefully that makes sense. So the bit in brackets, just read it as one kind of little sequence, one kind of little unit of itself, and you do that whole little sequence all the way to the end, over and over again. So 2 chain and 1 puff in the next stitch. So I'm going to do my 2 chain, whoops, yarn around the hook, pull it through, yarn around the hook, pull it through, that's my 2 chain, and then 1 puff in the next stitch. So the next stitch is, this is the one I've been working in, this is the next stitch. So I've done my 2 chain, now I've got to do my puff, another puff stitch. So yarn around a hook, and I'm going to go into this stitch, this is the next one, and I'm making sure I go underneath both arms of that stitch. Can you see there? And then I'm pulling it through and putting it up to that kind of height of the half treble again. You just sort of judge that, really. You just want to be fairly as consistent as you can be. Yarn around hook, through the stitch, same stitch again, pull another loop through, pull them up, yarn around hook one more time, through the stitch, pull it up, and I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loops on the hook, yarn around hook one more time and pull it through, and then my 2 chain. So now I've got 2 puff stitches. So I'm going to do that once more, and then I'll just work to the end. So I've done my 2 chain, yarn around the hook, into this next stitch, pull another loop through, pull the loops up, yarn around the hook, through the stitch, pull another loop through, yarn around the hook, into the stitch, pull another loop through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pull a loop through all 7 loops, 2 chain. Right, just need to repeat that to the end. Okay, and this is where it can be a bit difficult to find that last stitch, I always find. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know I've got to end up with 7 puffs. So the very last stitch that I need to go into, so if I can get the camera to see it for me, it can be a bit more tricky to find. It's in here. So it's actually that chain I made on that first row. So that is where I've got to go in. I've got to pick that up, and it can be a little bit tricky. So now if we go back and quickly look at the pattern again. So here's row 2, 2 chain, 1 puff in the next stitch all the way to the end, and then turn, and it gives you a double check at the end that you should have 7 puffs and 6 chain spaces. So let's see if I can show you what they mean by chain space. And by the way, we know we're on the wrong side, we're looking at the wrong side now, because that row 1 was the right side, wasn't it? This is row 2, this is the wrong side now. I've ordered a better light, I'm hoping that will make my filming a bit better. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 puff stitches, and then in between, where we've done the 2 chain in between each of those puff stitches, that's the chain space. So in subsequent rows, sometimes we're going to be going into stitches in the previous row, and sometimes we're going to be working into the chain spaces, and that means going all the way through that space that we've made there. So going back to the pattern, we're on row 3 now. So I'll turn my work, and I'm looking at the right side again now, and the first thing it says is 4 chain. And you can see there it says counts as 1 treble and 1 chain. I'm going to make my 4 chain, yarn around the hook, pull through once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. So now I've got those 4 chain, and what it's saying is that the 4 chain count as 1 treble stitch and 1 chain. So these first 3 stitches, first 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, count as a treble stitch, and this last one is a chain. That'll become like a chain space. So then we've got an asterisk. Just ignore the asterisk for a minute. The next bit is in brackets. So you take that as kind of one unit, one sequence. So we've got 1 treble, 1 chain in the chain space, and then 1 treble, 1 chain in a puff. And you repeat that whole thing from the asterisk right the way across. So you've got 1 treble, 1 chain in a chain space, 1 treble, 1 chain in a puff. Let's do that once first. This is my first chain space, and unless it indicates otherwise, if it just says chain space, it will be the very next chain space. So I'm going to work 1 treble and 1 chain into that chain space. So to do a treble, yarn around the hook, I'm going right into the whole chain space. Yarn around the hook, bring it through, yarn around the hook, put it through the next 2 loops on the hook, yarn around the hook one more time, put it through the last 2 loops on the hook. So that's my 1 treble and 1 chain. And the next part of that little instruction is 1 treble, 1 chain in the puff. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing, but instead of the same little sequence, instead of going into the chain space this time, I'm going to go into the top of the puff stitch in the previous row. And as it's not indicating otherwise, it will be the very next puff stitch. So this is my puff stitch. I'm going to go in the top. I'm going to find the stitch at the top, so it's going to be here. So and I'm going to go in the top of it there. I'm holding this at arm's length and having to watch the screen instead of what I'm doing to try and make sure it stays in focus, and it still won't. Hang on. Hopefully you can see that. I need to get a better filming arrangement here. There we go. So I've gone through the top of that puff stitch, but actually I forgot to put my yarn around the hook first because I'm making a treble. Make my treble stitch, don't think I need to show you that again, and my chain. So that whole little sequence there from the asterisk was 1 treble, 1 chain into the chain space, 1 treble, 1 chain into the puff, and then so that whole sequence from the asterisk I now repeat all the way across. 1 treble, 2, 1 chain into the chain space. Now I'm going into the top of the puff stitch. I'm just making sure each time that I've gone under both arms of that stitch in the previous row. You know, they all make little, if you turn it, if you're not sure, turn it up this way a little bit so you can see all the little V's of the stitch in the previous row, and you want to go under both arms of that V, unless you're told otherwise. Sometimes you'll be told to work into front and back loops, but we're not in this pattern. So let's make my treble and my chain. That next one's into the chain space again. 1 chain, now back into the puff stitch. See, I just keep, if I'm not sure where I'm going, I just keep turning it this way to spot that V that I need to go under. There we go. Right, just whiz through to the end of the row. Coming towards the end now. And I remember that the pattern did tell me to do a certain thing at the end, so I'm just going into this chain space, and then I'm checking back to my pattern to see what it said. So repeat from the asterisk all the way across, ending with 1 treble in the last puff. Okay, so in this last puff I'm not going to go 1 treble, 1 chain, I'm just going to end 1 treble. And you can see there that it tells me at the end I should have 13 trebles and 12 chain spaces. So let's have a look. I've noticed that this pattern doesn't give you that all the way along. And I guess in the end it would be an awful lot of stitches to count. Some patterns do that. They tell you, they give you the stitch count at the end of every single row. It depends. Okay, my puff stitches aren't the neatest there, but they're okay. So so this chain was counting as 1 treble, if you remember. So we're counting that as 1. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 trebles, and it should be 12 chain spaces in between. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that initial 4 chains that I made there, if you remember at the beginning of that row we've just done, the first 3 links in the chain count as one of the treble stitches, but the 4th chain counts as a chain. So it has become a chain space. Okay, right, I'm going to do this. So we're on to row 4 now. I'm just going to do up to row 5 because that includes a puff shell. So then I'll have shown you all the stitches and sort of a bit of an idea of how you'd follow the pattern, and I think that'll probably be enough really. Turn my work. So I'm back onto looking at the wrong side again now, and we're doing row 4. Let's have a look at what row 4 says. Okay, so 7 chain, and that counts as 1 treble and 4 chain. And then I'm going to miss 4 treble and do 1 double crochet in the next chain space. Okay, let's make my 7 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what they're saying is this counts as 1 treble, 1 4 chain. So as my 4 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then these next 3, 1, 2, 3. The first 3 links of that chain I've just made count as the first treble in this row. Then I'm going to miss 4 treble, so that means miss 4 treble in the previous row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to do a double crochet in the next chain space. So I'm missing these first 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the next chain space, and I'm going to do my double crochet in there. So have I done a double crochet yet? I don't know if I have. So bearing in mind again, this is UK double crochet. You go straight into the whole space. Yarn around the hook, pull it through, yarn around the hook again and pull it through. That's my double crochet. That's my little double crochet stitch. So I've done my 7 chain, I've missed 4 treble in the previous row, and I've done a double crochet in the next chain space. Now I've got a 4 chain, miss the next 2 treble and 1 treble in the next treble of the previous row. Then I'm going to miss the next 2 trebles in the previous row, so I'm going to miss, there's my 4 chain, I'm going to miss the next trebles, this one, so I'm going to miss this one and this one, miss the next 2 trebles, and I'm going to do a treble stitch in the next treble, so I've got to work into this one. So I'm doing a treble this time, so yarn around the hook, miss these 2, I'm going into this one, and again I'm going to just turn my work slightly so I can see those V's, so I can see where to go in. Make sure I go under both arms of the V and make my treble stitch. And then it says again 4 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, miss the next 2 treble, miss that one, miss that one, 1 double crochet in the next chain space. So we're going back to a double crochet, put it through once, around the hook, pull it through twice. I think that's why again we call that double, because you put it through once, pull it through twice. So treble, you put it through once, twice, 3 times. That's why they're called double and treble in this country, I think. So I've missed the 4, I've done my 7 chain, I've missed 4 treble, I've done my double crochet in the next chain space, another 4 chain, missed 2 trebles, 1 treble in the next treble, I've done 4 chain again, missed the next 2 treble, 1 double crochet in the next chain space. That's what I've just done. Now it says that I need to do another 4 chain, 1 treble in the last treble, and turn. And that bit at the end there looks a bit confusing, but that's actually just telling you what you should have on the hook. That's not an instruction to make 2 double crochet, 3 treble and 4 chain spaces. That's telling you what you should have on the hook. So I've got to make I've just made my double crochet in the chain space. Now I've got to do my 4 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it just says 1 treble in the last treble. So the last treble is this, if you remember, this chain at the beginning of the last row counted as a treble, so it's that one that I've got to do. So there's a space, that chain is the space across the top. I need to go in here, I need to go in there, the top of that little chain. Yarn around the hook because I'm doing a treble. 2, 3. So I've skipped three treble stitches there. Didn't tell me to skip it, it just told me to go in the last one. But if you look here, because this will be a symmetrical pattern, you'll see that at the other end of the row we also skipped 3 trebles. So the whole thing is symmetrical. And then there's that at the end of that row, it tells me there are 2 double, 3 treble and 3 chain spaces. 1 double stitch, there's the other double stitch, 3 trebles, 1, 2, 3, and 4 chain spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know I've got my pattern right. I think that's the last time they actually give you a count at the end of the row of what you should have. We're going back to the right side of the work for row 5. Okay, so this is saying now this is a case where that the first chain we're making doesn't count as a stitch. So it's just telling us to make 1 chain and then 1 double crochet in the first stitch. So I'm just going to make my 1 chain and then 1 double crochet in the first stitch, and I'm taking this as the first, as the first stitch here. Double crochet, so I'm going in to the stitch from my previous row, pull a loop through, yarn around the hook, pull another loop through. That's my double crochet. What's next? Now it's telling me to do 3 chain and then 1 double crochet in the chain space and a puff shell in the next double crochet. So I'm going to do 3 chain, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put a double crochet in the chain space. So this is my first chain space. Just put the hook in there. I'll just sort of put it in the middle-ish, but you can always slide it up and down if you need to move it around. If you get it slightly off. Worked my double crochet. So this stitch will slide up and down along there, so you can kind of make sure it's even. And then it says to make a puff shell in the next double crochet. So this is going to be the next double crochet, and I've got to make a puff shell. And they give me special instructions for the puff shell. Here we go, special stitches. So to make a puff shell, we make a puff. We've already learnt the puff stitch. We make a puff, then 2 chain, another puff, 2 chain, another puff. So it's basically 3 puff stitches with 2 chain spaces in between them. Okay, so it says to put my puff shell in the next double crochet. So I'm going in here. And I'm going to make sure I go under both those arms of the stitch again. So first thing I need to do is make my basic puff stitch. So we've done that already. There we go. That's my first puff stitch, and then we're doing the 2 chain now. 1, 2, and I'm going to make another puff stitch into that same hole and going back in there again. Second puff stitch, and now another 2 chain, and then my last puff stitch for this one. There we go. And that's my first little puff shell. Okay, so I've done my puff shell in the next double crochet. Now it says 1 double crochet in the next chain space, 3 chain and 1 double crochet in the next treble, 3 chain and 1 double crochet in the next chain space. So you're just doing a series of double crochets linked together with chains. Let me show you. There's my first puff shell in that double crochet stitch from the previous row. Now it just says to do, there's no chain after it, it just says to do a double crochet in the next chain space. So this is the next chain space. I'm going to do a double crochet in there. There we go. So we've got a double crochet that side, then you've got your little puff shell and a double crochet this side. Then 3 chain again, 1, 2, 3. Then 1 double crochet in the next treble. So the next treble stitch in the previous row was this one. I'm going to do a double crochet in there. Turn this slightly, pull my loop through. There's my double crochet. Then 3 chain again, 1, 2, 3. 1 double crochet in the next chain space. You see, it's easy, isn't it, really? And then we're doing a puff shell in the next double crochet, so we're doing another puff shell. So I'm going to make my 3 puff stitches linked together with the two chain spaces. There we go. That's my second puff shell. So this is where you start to now get an instinct for what's going to happen next. I bet there's going to be a double crochet in this next chain space. Let's have a look. Yep, 1 double crochet in the next chain space. So you do quickly start to get an instinct for what's likely to happen next, and obviously there's a symmetry. Then 3 chain, 2, 3, and then it says 1 double crochet in the last treble. So that's this one. Looking for the last treble here. So in that previous row, we made 7 chain at the beginning, and it told us that counted as 1 treble and 4 chain. So the first 3, 1, 2, 3 chains count as a treble stitch, and then the others are a 4 chain space. So I need to go into the top of, I need to find my 3rd link in this chain, 1, 2, 3, and that is the top of my what counts as a treble stitch, and I'm just doing a double stitch in there. So in effect, that chain that we made, the first chain that we made on that previous row, that's now become a treble stitch. Those first 3 links in that chain have become a treble stitch. The other 4 links in the chain have become a chain space here. Hopefully that makes sense. So that is the beginnings of this pattern, and you can see that the pattern's starting to be, you can see the symmetry of it. You can see that I need to practice my puff stitches a bit more. But yeah, it very quickly starts to become, it becomes instinctive. Some of it, like just now when I said I know because I've done a double crochet there, then my puff shell, I know I'm going to have to do a double crochet on the other side to balance it up. And so you quickly start to feel, if you make a mistake, you need to concentrate on it. It's not a beginner friendly pattern, I wouldn't say, but it's really enjoyable. If you love crocheting, it's a really enjoyable pattern. I just think it's going to look so pretty done in this beautiful variegated yarn, and when it's all blocked and everything. I definitely need to do this again because that's going to annoy me. It can't be meant to be like that. One thing that is would be helpful, maybe a diagram of it as a whole, or maybe sometimes patterns are done with diagrams as well as written instructions, which can be really helpful. Some people prefer that. I'm sort of happy either way, but sometimes I'll use a bit of both. I'm assuming that this, where I've got this funny lumpy shape, is going to be is what starts up there. And so yeah, I think I've done something wrong here, because these are coming out. I can see that these are going to make a nice straight line, especially once it's all blocked. Those will come out fine. But this bit, there's something, I've done something amiss here, I'm sure I have. Push comes to shove, I'll just do that. Nobody will ever know. I'm just making myself up a lovely thumbnail. Okay, there's my lovely colourful thumbnail. So all in all, I am thoroughly enjoying this project. I would say that pattern isn't for beginners, but if you wanted to have a go at first go at doing a slightly more complex pattern like this, it's a really nice one to do, and it's lovely to have something in the end of it that I'm going to really enjoy wearing and having. The quality of the materials is lovely, everything's really nice to use. I'm just, yeah, lovely. And I can't, you know, I think like I said at the beginning of this, it's the fact that I filled in that questionnaire and Rachel picked out this kit for me. It's as if a friend picked it for me. It's just absolutely perfect. It's just the kind of thing a friend would give me, like the blanket kit that I showed earlier on that I've been working through and hope to finish this winter. A very dear friend of mine that knows me very well gave me that kit, so yeah, it just feels like a friend has picked this out for me, and that's really nice. I'm going to get hours and hours of pleasure out of this, and I'm going to really enjoy having that shawl at the end. So what I will do now is I will carry on working through that. I think I've shown you as much of the actual crochet as I can, as you could want to see, really. If you've got any questions at all, if there's anything that I didn't cover you'd like to see a bit more, or, you know, just give me a shout. I could even do little short videos and put in the Discord or in the Facebook group if that's helpful. My filming setup at the moment isn't ideal for showing crochet, that's the trouble. But I will do my best to answer any questions if you've got any. Yeah, very, very happy with this, and this is just such a perfect time of year to be starting a little project like this. I will come back when this is all done and blocked and everything, and show you how it turned out, and I can't wait. I need to have it done in time for Christmas to wear my frock. I've just got a particular dress that this will go beautifully with, but I think it would go really nice. That someone said to me it would go lovely with a white shirt and blue jeans. It would look really cute like that as well. Yeah, it fits my whole kind of boho vibe. Thrilled to bits. Thank you so much again to the lovely people at Stitch Kit for sending me this. I'm chuffed to bits with it. I will of course link to their, I've probably said all this already at the beginning, but that's ages ago now. I will of course link to their website in the description box, so you can check it out for yourself. Thanks very much for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed that little peek, and I will be back at some point to show you how this all turned out. Watch this space. Thanks very much again. I will see you again really soon.